Hey guys, Lauren from Contessa here, back with another Mentor Monday. Thank you so much to everyone who has submitted career questions for this week's Mentor Monday via DMs on Instagram. You've emailed us mentormonday@careercontessa.com. Really appreciate your great questions. It's what makes Mentor Monday so exciting, is that we get questions like everything from career to negotiation to LinkedIn, talking about bullies at work. All that great stuff is really awesome for you guys to write in. So if you guys are just joining us, we are back with another Mentor Monday where we answer your career questions at Career Contessa. My name is Lauren McGoodwin. I'm the CEO and founder at Career Contessa. And so I'm just going to jump right into answering your career questions. If you have questions while you're joining us on live, you can write them as comments and I'll answer them as well. The questions I have right now have been submitted ahead of time. So we always ask you guys to submit questions ahead of time. So the first one I got was, I'm having trouble finding my first job. I'm not exactly sure why. I've had 3 internships and a ton of experience, including working for a Fortune 500 company on an internal communications plan. Even with this experience, I'm having trouble finding a full-time job. Would it be a bad idea to look for another internship? So here is someone who's got a lot of past internship experience and they're looking for their first job, and to their surprise, they're really struggling finding that first job. If any of you can relate to feeling like you've checked all the perfect career boxes and then had a hard time finding a job, feel free to either comment, say, yes, I had that too, or I felt the same. You can even do little hearts, just anything to let us know that other people have gone through this exact same thing. I know for me, I definitely struggled with finding my first job out of college, and I always like to say I was the Career Center's poster child. I had internships. I felt very similar to the person that submitted this question. Here's my advice. If you are searching for a job, the first thing you want to think about is, what does my resume look like? What is it communicating? Maybe you have had all the quote unquote right experience, but you're not communicating that in a very strong way via your resume or your LinkedIn profile. Yep, someone said, oh my God, me right now. So your LinkedIn profile and your resume are 2 very, very, very important documents. Your LinkedIn profile isn't a document, but they're 2 very important materials when it comes to the job search. Your resume is what you're going to use to apply for jobs. It's what the interviewer is going to look at probably while they're asking you questions. And your LinkedIn profile is going to be the profile that either the hiring manager looks at or the recruiter will source you from. So both things have to be telling a similar story. You have to be communicating that in your phone interviews and in your application material. So the first thing is, are your materials really communicating a very strong interest in a particular job or industry, or do you look like your experience is all over the place? So you can have a lot of great experience, but it can be telling this really wacky story because it's all over the place, versus someone who's had maybe less experience but is super, super focused on a particular industry or job and is communicating that clearly. So my first question to this person is, what do your materials look like? If you are having trouble with your LinkedIn or your resume, we are actually running a sale until midnight Pacific Standard Time. So it's 7 p.m. Pacific, so you've got a few more hours. On all of our career courses at Career Contessa, we have an amazing resume course and we have an amazing LinkedIn course, as well as a job search strategy course. So you can get 30% off all of those courses until midnight tonight if you use Cyber Monday 17, and Cyber Monday is all capitals. So again, if you are, any ideas on how to improve your resume, one, definitely check out that course, because when it comes to a great resume, one, it tells a consistent story, and it has to be formatted in a nice way that's easy for the person to read it and check out that information. So I'm a big stickler for formatting on a resume. I like a 1-page resume. I want it to be easy for me to read and find the information that I'm looking for. Without, kind of going a step further on how you can improve it, those are kind of my top level tips. Also make sure that your bullet points are communicating the accomplishments that you've made at these places that you've worked, and not just your responsibilities. That's really important as well. Okay, so this person was wondering if they should look into another internship. So first, we talked about materials. The second thing you can do if you have quote unquote all the right information on your resume and experience, etc., and you're still not getting jobs, is start networking. Start finding target companies that you want to work for. Why do you want to work for them? What is it? Their product, their leadership, their company culture. What is it about that company that is really you're obsessed with and you want to work for it? So create that target list of companies, and then start having informational interviews and connecting with people in those companies. So that's another thing, piece of advice for the person who submitted this question that I would have about your job search strategy. Are you networking, or are you applying online and crossing your fingers and hoping that someone will pick it up? Wait, so we just had a question come through. They said, do you think the contact info should be at the top or at the bottom? So Danny, I am a fan of having your contact information at the top. If you have a 2-column resume, which really just means usually it's like experience on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand column, people will put contact information and skills and, volunteer work or something extra like that. I would still put it at the top. So whether it's at the top of a 2-column resume, the column on the right, the skinnier column usually, or at the very top, up with your name, I would definitely put it on there. One thing about the contact information that I do not think you need to have on your resume is your address. Instead, and that's because we used to mail offer letters. We don't have to mail offer letters anymore as recruiters and companies. We can send you everything via email. So you don't need to take up precious real estate room with your address, but what you should always have in your contact information for your resume is a link to your LinkedIn profile. True story, I was working with a recruiter the other day and I said, I've got a great person for this role for you. Can I send along her resume? She said, don't bother sending her resume right now. I just want a link to her LinkedIn profile. So your LinkedIn profile is sometimes the thing they're looking for first. So you want to make sure you have both of those documents in tip-top shape before you start applying for jobs. That's a great question though. If you guys have more questions about resumes, let me know. Again, we've got a sale at Career Contessa on all of our career courses. You get 30% off until midnight tonight using Cyber Monday 17. If you go to Career Contessa and read our Career Contessa on Instagram and in our story, you'll see you can just swipe up to get to the link. But we have a LinkedIn course and we also have a resume course that comes with real resume templates. So just something for you guys to consider if you are struggling with the whole resume thing. We go step by step with it. Okay, and the next question that came through for Mentor Monday is someone asked, do you like working in HR as a recruiter? So before I was running Career Contessa full time, for those of you that don't know the backstory, I was working as a recruiter for a tech startup that then became a very well-known tech company. And I absolutely loved it. And one of the things that I loved about being a recruiter wasn't just the recruiting part of my job. Yes, I really enjoyed that part. But I also spent a lot of time researching companies and company cultures and making sure that if I was going to go into recruiting, I was going to be recruiting for a company that I respected, I was excited about, I was passionate about, and I was also going to make sure that I was working within a recruiting group that was a really good fit for me. So I got extremely lucky. I had great leadership, I had great colleagues, and I really loved the company I was working at and the leadership of the company as well, not just within my department. Anybody that is considering going into HR or recruiting, here are a couple things that I would recommend. There's some of the things that I did as well, is start having informational interviews with people who work in recruiting, but not just in, legal recruiters. Make sure you talk to, or tech recruiters. Make sure you talk to recruiters in a wide variety of industries. Consulting firms have recruiters. Banking institutions have recruiters. Insurance companies have recruiters. Tech companies have recruiters. There are a lot of different types of recruiting, and there are a lot of different environments that you can work with as a recruiter. So make sure you get to know them so that you're not just picking a job function that you are really enjoying, but you're also going to be working with people and within an industry that you really enjoy. Okay, guys, you have any other career questions for me? Let me know. I've only seen a few come through in the questions. Oh, okay, here's another one. Do you think it's more beneficial to apply to jobs post-undergrad or apply to grad school? I am a comm student with 6 internships. I think that really depends, and I know that's not a very helpful answer, but I graduated from college, got my first job in an entry-level role. I was answering phones. It really wasn't the most fun and exciting job ever. And I enrolled in a master's program while I was doing that. Personally, for me, I thought that was a really nice compromise because I was going to work from 8:30 to 5, and then I went to school one day a week from 6 to 9:30 in a master's program. It took me a little bit longer to graduate and finish the master's program. It was actually, the master's program is called Communication Management. But what it allowed me to do was to use my real work experience. So the experience I was, getting every day in the 9 to 5 job, that even though I wasn't excited about it, I was able to apply that information or that work experience to my graduate school. I was able to use it for my thesis. I was able to use it in my classes. And so I actually think getting the real world experience at the same time of going to grad school was a lot more beneficial than just going to grad school. But I also think it totally depends on what type of grad school program you go to. My sister currently is in an MBA program, and those are so rigorous that most people do those full time. I wasn't in a program that required me to go full time. So check out different programs. But I think a nice compromise to that is something along what I did, which is I worked and did that at the same time. Okay, another person asked, do I have a disadvantage if I quit my job while searching for a new one, or should I stay in my current contract while searching for a new job? I mean, look, the general rule of thumb is that it's easier to find a job when you already have one, right? And part of that is because you're not going to be in such of a rush or an urgency to get that new job because you currently have the paycheck of a job. So I think what you can do is, instead of quitting your job right now, give yourself a timeline. Say that I'm going to stay in my current contract and I'm going to actively job search for the next 6 months. So give yourself a timeline. If after those 6 months I still have not found a job and I'm still working full time, then I will start to have a serious conversation. Oh, and make sure in those 6 months you're saving money, because the average job search can take anywhere to 6 to 9 months, sometimes longer. So you need to be prepared that if you do quit your job, it could take 6 to 9 months. So I would start by saying, okay, I'm going to give myself a timeline of 6 months where I'm going to work in this contract job and I'm going to seriously, actively job search, which is the key to this whole thing. Job searching whenever you feel like it is not actively job searching. Actively job searching is updating your LinkedIn, updating your resume, creating a list of target companies, networking, and being really, really persistent and consistent with those routines that you create. If after 6 months you feel like you've got a really good idea on what it is that you want to do and what type of companies you want to go for, but you're really lacking a certain amount of skills and you need to bridge the gap by going and taking online learning, volunteering, doing whatever it is that you need to do to bridge those gaps, then maybe you have a serious conversation. But at least if you leave that job to pursue something else and you quit, at least you're creating new skills or bridging the gap in skills that you're going to need in order to get that next job. So something to think about. I don't think there's ever an end all be all. I never think it's a good idea to rush into this stuff, but you're talking to someone who's a bit risk adverse. I knew I was going to leave my job for almost 1.5 years before I left it to launch Career Contessa. And I know you're not launching a business, but my only point is, why don't you start with a timeline? I think having some sort of structure and goals to what you're doing will feel great compared to right now. Okay, let's see what other questions have come up. Oh, thanks guys. I love when I see your thumbs up. I've been seeing some of the hearts. Okay, so another person said, how much time should you devote to your side hustle and full-time job? Again, I think that totally depends. If you're trying to turn your side hustle into your full-time job, the hours might be different than if you are really just using this side hustle to either make extra money, to bridge the gap in skills that you don't have currently, that you want to have so you can transition into another job. So we actually have a lot of great articles about side hustles on careercontessa.com. The other thing, if you have a side hustle, how much time should you devote to it? Really depends on how much extra time you have. When I was working on Career Contessa as a side hustle, I would devote, at least 1 hour in the morning and sometimes 2 hours at night to work on it. And then I usually devoted at least, the morning of a Saturday and maybe the afternoon of a Sunday to work on it. That was because I was looking to turn my side hustle into my full-time job. If I was doing it to make money, I would probably set a goal of, okay, I want to make $500 extra a month from my side hustle. And then I would do the amount of hours of work that's needed to do that. Okay, so it seems my master's degree is hurting me more than helping. Should I remove it from my resume? You could certainly try that. So here's my philosophy on resumes in general, is that your resume is a snapshot of your most relevant experience and skills etc., that most relevant experience and skills to that company and that job. So maybe your master's is really, really great, but it's not relevant to the job and the company you're applying for. If that's the case, you can leave it off of your resume, but you're gonna wanna have it on your LinkedIn. So I always view your resume as that snapshot, and your LinkedIn gets to tell the whole career story. So feel free to try it and see what happens. Let's see. Just looking for more questions. Love this. Just drop by to say hi. Love and peace from Tokyo. Thank you. That's so nice. You guys, if you have more questions, I'm here to answer them. If not, we can feel free to, we'll end this Mentor Monday. We'll be back next Monday to answer your career questions. My name is Lauren McGoodwin. I'm the founder and CEO at Career Contessa, and you can submit your career questions anonymously. You saw that I didn't mention anyone's name. You can send DMs, so direct messages, to Career Contessa Instagram, or you can email us mentormonday@careercontessa.com. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.